You are listening to the Becoming the Wealthy You podcast with Jermaine Foley. If you're a woman who makes good money in your career or business, but you're not building wealth like you want to, then you're in the right place. In this podcast, you'll learn how to stop overspending, break free from the cycle of debt, save lots of cash, and become the wealthy woman you were born to be. Let's dive in. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. Okay, so last week we talked about the skill of having money, not just making money, not just spending money, but actually having money, keeping it in your life, letting it stay, letting it accumulate, letting it become peace of mind, savings, debt freedom, investments, options, and wealth. And based on the response I got from that episode, I know it hit something. Because for a lot of women, the issue is not, oh, I just need to get control of my money. It's so much deeper than that. You have gotten control of your money before. You have done all the things. You've saved, but spent it. You've paid off debt, but it's come back. You will invest, but then you borrow from your investments, your 401k or your IRA. You put yourself on a no spend challenge, but soon as it's over, you revert, you go on a splurge, and then before you know it, everything you didn't spend, you spend in like one day. So the deeper issue isn't you just need to get control of your money. You know how to get control of your money temporarily. You just don't know how to do it consistently. And that is what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about why you keep having to start over, why you keep finding yourself back in the same place over and over again, because this is something that I know is real because you want to change. You want to build wealth. You want to have money in the bank. You want to be credit card debt free. You want all of this and you do it. You make it happen. But before you know it, you're back to the same familiar place that you've been in over and over and over again. And so today we're going to break down why that keeps happening and what you actually need to do to change that pattern for good. So before we talk about actually changing the pattern, let's really take a deep dive to understand it. So this is a pattern that I see all the time. I saw it with myself. I see it with my clients. I've worked with so many women and I see this over and over again. You make good money, right? You get serious about your finances, like I just said. You decide that this is the time you're finally going to change things. Maybe it's the beginning of the year. Maybe something else has happened. Maybe you had an event in your life that happens and you're like, no, I have to change this. And you decide that you're going to. So you pay down the debt, you start saving, you get a big bonus or a client win, and you're like, yes, I can finally make progress. And when you do, you feel some relief. It feels like you're finally getting somewhere. Then life happens. The credit cards start to creep back up again. The savings get used. The bonuses, they go to clean up past spending because the spending picked back up. And before you know it, you're right back in that same familiar place. Not because of one big dramatic mistake, but because little by little, the old pattern started to creep back in again. And that's one of the most frustrating places to find yourself. Now, even though it's frustrating to be there, I want to say this very, very clearly. If you find yourself in this frustrating place, it does not mean that you're undisciplined. It does not mean that you lack self-control. It also doesn't mean that you're bad with numbers or that you're bad with money. And it definitely doesn't mean you do not care about your future. Honestly, I have not met one woman who doesn't care. That's why this feels so frustrating because you do care. You do want to build wealth. You do want to feel financially peaceful and secure. You do want to stop relying on your credit cards. You do want to save more. You do want to feel like your income is actually becoming something more than just a number in your bank account that's there just temporarily, right? But desire alone, that does not change a pattern. That does not change habits, okay? And that's where a lot of people get stuck. They think if I want it bad enough, I should be able to just do it. But that is not how change works. So let me break down what's actually happening. Your brain likes familiar. Familiar feels safe, even when familiar is not what you actually want. So if your familiar pattern is money comes in and it goes right back out, then keeping money will feel very, very strange. If your familiar pattern is debt gets paid down, but then it creeps back up, then staying out of credit card debt will feel unfamiliar. If your familiar pattern is you get a bonus or a client contract, and then you always use that to clean up past spending, then using that bonus to actually build your future will feel new. And new, my friend, feels uncomfortable. So one way to think about this is to think of a thermostat in your home. Your brain has a familiar money temperature, a familiar amount of savings, a familiar amount of financial pressure, a familiar pattern of getting ahead and then somehow starting over. And when you start making progress, guess what happens? The temperature starts to change. So if you think of your home and you keep it set at 70 degrees, and then it gets really, really hot outside or cold outside, what is going to happen? That thermostat's going to kick on and return the home back to 70 degrees, no matter how hot it gets outside or how cold it gets outside. And that's exactly what happens with your money. So when savings grow or debt goes down or there's more money sitting in your account than normal, your brain subconsciously says, hold on, this is not what we're used to. Because your brain is not always looking for what's best for you. It just wants you to get back to that familiar temperature. Okay? So it starts trying to bring you back to that setting. That may look like you spending down your savings, finding a reason to dip into it. Oh, I'll just take a little bit, or, I need to take care of this thing. I'll put it back. Or it may look like letting the credit cards creep back up, putting one thing on it, another thing on it. And before you know it, you can't pay it off in a month. And so you're carrying a balance again. Or knowing that a bonus is coming, right? We typically know if you work for an employer when your bonuses are coming, or if you have a business, maybe you know when your big client payments are coming in. So you know in the back of your mind that that money is coming. And so your brain will subconsciously have you spending that money before it even comes to you. So that money is already spoken for. It's to clean up past spending versus building up your wealth, building up your future. Right? And so your brain is very, very clever and very, very tricky. And none of this is obvious in the moment. It becomes obvious after the fact when you're like, oh, like listening to this episode, you can probably see yourself like, oh, yes, that is totally what happens. You start literally spending that bonus or that client payment before it even has a chance to hit your account. And so you are always in that familiar state of using bonuses to clean up past spending. It's like you're always finding a reason why money either needs to leave your life or it can't stay in your life. Now, remember, I'm going to say it again. This is not because you're undisciplined. This is not because you lack self-control or that you're bad with money. It is because your financial thermostat has not been reset. It's still set to 70 degrees. And this is why you can make progress and still end up back in the same place, even though you've changed things for a moment, right? But what you didn't do was change what feels normal. And until what feels normal changes, your brain will keep pulling you back to that old, familiar financial temperature. And this is why knowledge and information alone usually are not enough. Because most women who make good money, they already know what they should be doing, but they cannot get themselves to do it consistently. Right? The problem isn't that you haven't heard the right money advice. The problem is that knowing what to do does not automatically reset what feels normal. So information, it's good, right? I'm not knocking information. It gives you awareness, but it does not cause you to implement and practice and repeat the same processes over and over again, right? If you really want to change, it is going to require implementation, yes, information, yes, but practice is going to require repetition. It requires noticing the patterns while it's happening, not just after it has already happened. It's going to require having someone help you to see the moment where your brain is trying to pull you back to that old setting. It's like when you're living it, it's hard for you to see it. right? Because when you're in it, you can talk yourself into anything. You can justify anything. You can reason why buying this next thing is the right move, right? Why putting it on a credit card is okay. Why dipping into your savings is okay when you're in it, right? And this is where one-to-one private money coaching becomes so powerful, because coaching is not me giving you more information, right? It's not me just telling you that you should save more, spend less, or pay off debt. It is us looking at your actual life, your actual numbers, your habits, your actual thoughts and patterns, and then identifying and noticing what your financial temperature has been like and what you keep returning to, right? We look at where your thermostat is currently set, and then we start helping you to reset it. That's what I do with my clients. And we don't do it through shame. We don't do it through restriction. We don't do it through strict budgeting that will only last for a couple of weeks. We do it, however, through structure, systems, support, awareness, and practice. So here's what we do. We look at where your money is actually going, why the same patterns keep repeating, what keeps pulling you back, where your weak spots are, what systems need to be in place based on your life, not some cookie cutter system, but a system based on your life, what thoughts and behaviors are driving all of this, and what needs to become your new normal. Because I really want you to hear me when I say this. Resetting the thermostat does not happen by reading one more money book or listening to one more financial podcast episode. And you know, I love me some books and I love me some podcasts, but that's not going to change you. I want you to be honest with yourself. How many books have you read? How many episodes have you listened to? How many YouTube videos have you watched on money? How many tips have you received? You have the knowledge, but knowledge alone is not enough, right? And so if you know you have the knowledge, you know what you should be doing, but you don't know how to get yourself to actually do it consistently, then money coaching, private, one-to-one, shame-free, judgment-free money coaching is likely for you. If you are a woman who make good money, but you can't keep it, right? You know how to make it, but you don't know how to keep it in your life, then one-on-one money coaching is very, very likely for you. And if that resonates, I'm inviting you to book your complimentary one-to-one coaching consultation, where we'll look at where you are, where you want to go, and how I can help you to get there. And you can do that by going to jermainefoley.com/consult. That's Jermaine with a G, Foley.com/consult, or you can click the link in the show notes and it'll take you right to the booking page. Because at the end of the day, if you're listening to this episode, I bet you want to turn your great income into breathing room, into peace of mind, into financial security, into savings, into debt freedom, and into wealth. And that is what I help my clients do. So here's the shift I really want you to make. The question is not, how do I get out of debt again? Or how do I save again? Or how do I get back on track again? Those are not bad questions, but they are not the best questions. The better question is, how do I stop returning to the same financial temperature? Because if the thermostat stays the same, you can keep making money, right? You're probably making more than you ever have before, but the progress doesn't last, right? It's like you drift back to what's familiar. So the work is not just creating progress. The work is learning how to hold progress. That's the shift. Not just how do I fix this now, but how do I become the woman who no longer keeps ending up back here? Because that woman, not only does she think differently, she plans differently, she spends differently. She still spends, but she does it differently, not impulsively, but intentionally. She saves differently. She handles discomfort differently. She does not need to spend over her emotions. Now, and also, here's the most important thing. She does not need to be perfect in order to make progress. And she no longer lets old patterns quietly run her financial life. So, if you keep ending up back in the same place, here's the question I want you to sit with. What financial temperature do I keep returning to? Is it a certain credit card balance, a certain amount in savings, a certain level of money stress. That's another one, you all. A lot of times we're just used to financial drama in our lives. We're used to constantly being on the edge, and we subconsciously sabotage ourselves back to the edge over and over and over again. We even could have a certain paycheck to paycheck feeling, even though you make good money and living paycheck to paycheck shouldn't even be in your vocabulary. But sometimes we just create that for ourselves, right? Is the certain pattern getting ahead and then using the money, finding some reason to get rid of the money? Or is it like this, I'll figure it out later. You only live once. I'll deal with the consequences later. Is that what you're returning to? And if so, do you want to keep returning to that place? If the answer is no, then it's going to start not with you shaming yourself, not with saying, I can't believe I'm here again, but it's going to start with you getting honest and aware of what keeps pulling you back. And knowing the psychology behind all of this, it's not like you're pulling yourself back. It is literally your brain returning to a familiar state. And the only way you're going to change that pattern is to become aware of it and decide and commit to changing what you're used to financially. And that is what I do with my clients inside of money coaching. And that is why it's so powerful, because most women do not need another random money tip. You've got enough of those. And you definitely don't need someone yelling at you, telling you to spend less, save more, stop using credit cards, and all of that mumbo jumbo. The work is identifying the old thermostat, the old normal, and consciously changing it on purpose. And this is the work I've done on myself, and it is the work I do with my clients every single week. And so if you want support with that, if you want help with that, you are welcome to book a one-to-one private money coaching consultation with me by going to the show notes or by going to jermainefoley.com/consult. And listen, here's what I want to say. I know that just booking that call can feel very vulnerable. You can feel some shame. And I want you to know that this call is pressure-free, judgment-free, and shame-free. This is your opportunity to come and just release all of the burdens and money stress and drama you've been feeling around your finances. Okay? You do not need to come with anything prepared. You don't need to know your numbers. You don't need to bring any spreadsheets. You just get to come as you are, and we'll look at where you are, where you want to go, and how I can help you get to the other side. How I can help you to change your financial thermostat and change the patterns that keep pulling you back, even though you're making more money than you've ever made, even though you don't want to keep getting pulled back. That is what financial coaching is all about. It's private, it's customized, it's about you. There's no cookie cutter formulas or budgets or anything, right? That is what I do for my clients. That is what I do alongside of my clients. And if you want that support, that structure, and that help, I would love to be your money coach. You can go to jermainefoley.com/consult to book, right? It's time to make that change stick. Because I know many of you have tried this on your own. And if you tried it on your own more than once, money coaching could be the one thing that changes all of it for you. Hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.